Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to my movie vlog. My name is John Campea. And you know, we have been waiting for February to come because Justice League, a movie I saw in theater 6 times, is going to be finally hitting home video, and a Blu-ray release is going to be coming. Now, yesterday, it was announced that the Justice League Blu-ray was coming, and Walmart was going to have a special version of it, as happens sometimes, that they were going to have a deleted scene from the movie was going to be in it. And that got some people wondering, it's like, wait a minute, just one deleted scene? Oh, that's fine. But the one thing that a lot of fans have been asking for and wanting, and there was even a change.org petition put together for it, a lot of fans out there wanted to see a director's cut, not Joss Whedon's director's cut, but Zack Snyder's director's cut, and they got a significant amount of signatures on that as well. Now, as many of you guys know, Zack Snyder had to leave the project after a family crisis happened. He had only ever turned in an initial first cut of the film. A rough cut is what the description of it was being described. But a lot of people wanted to see whatever that vision of the film was. However, according to several sources, including our friends over at JoeBlow.com, Warner Brothers has now released a bunch of details about the upcoming Blu-ray release, and it does not include a director's cut of the film. Once again, reports are now coming out that Warner Brothers has released a list of all the features that you can expect to see on the Blu-ray of Justice League, and among them is not included a director's cut of the film. Now, going over to that report that I just read about, here's some of the things they are saying about it. The Justice League will be available on 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray combo pack for $45, a Blu-ray 3D combo pack for $44, Blu-ray combo pack for $39, and a DVD for $32. Seems kind of steep for a DVD. Anyway, for $32. The 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray combo pack features an Ultra HD Blu-ray disc with a theatrical version in 4K HDR, which actually sounds kind of sweet, and a Blu-ray disc also featuring the theatrical version, so on and so forth. Digitally, the film will become available on February 13th, 2018. Now, the reason I'm doing this video live right now is because I actually wanted to hear from you guys and your reaction to this news that it does not appear that there's going to be a Zack Snyder director's cut on the Blu-ray after all. You can get a comment to me one of two ways. Number one, you can send in a super chat, or number two, jump on Twitter. I'm going to take your tweets as well. Simply tweet to me at John Campea. And I've been asking you guys, even before I started this video, Warner Brothers is not doing Zack Snyder's director's cut, at least not on this Blu-ray release. Is that a good idea that they not do it, or is it a bad idea that they not do it? And here's what some of you guys have been saying. Starting off with this one. This one comes to us from Macaulay Lavoli, who writes, bad idea. I think they're going to release it much later, just like the unrated version will be released later. Cash grab trick. And certainly that's not unusual. We have seen Hollywood studios pull that type of cash grab trick before. Actually, they do it quite often, where they release one version of a Blu-ray, get you to spend your money on it, and then a little bit later put out another version of the Blu-ray. Some people seem to think that's what they're going to be doing. This other one comes to us from Jason Bourne 078, who writes, it's a bad idea. This feels like Warner Brothers Pictures are putting their middle finger up at the people who wanted the extended cut. Let's see. This next one comes to us from Arlo3. They'll probably release a director's cut down the line to get people to double dip. I'm thinking maybe a few months later. That's all certainly possible. I mean, these things are possible. They could be looking at it like that. Let me go over to Super Chat. The Super Chat's already come in here. The Super Chat comes to us from Vernon Lee, who writes, the Warner Brothers has dropped the ball on this universe. They need to reboot. Well, you know what, Vernon? You're not the only one who thinks that. I've been thinking they need to reboot as well. Now, I'm not surprised that they're not doing a director's cut for a couple of big reasons, and I don't think they're going to do a director's cut even in later releases. I think they'll probably put out more Blu-ray releases in a few months that, say, have more deleted scenes than the ones we have now. But here's the big reason why I suspect we're not going to get a director's cut, why we didn't get it in the first place, why I don't think we're going to get one. As has been repeated several times, the only thing Zack Snyder unfortunately had the time to finish was an initial rough cut, a first cut. of the film, which is nowhere near completion, by the way. It's just a rough cut of the film. Even if Warner Brothers felt like it was the type of movie that they felt comfortable putting out for the world to see, even if that's the case, the amount of money they would need to spend to take that first rough cut and then do all the post-production on that cut, flesh out whatever it is that need to be fleshed out, and then do all the post-production on it in order to have that cut of the film, we are talking about a significant amount of money. A lot of money. On a movie that didn't make any money. And then they would have to ask themselves the question, do we think we could make enough money from updating a Zack Snyder director's cut to justify all the money we'd have to spend on making it? And that's a huge question. Now, as a matter of fact, I mentioned that petition to get a Zack Snyder's director's cut, and I believe it's just shy of 170,000 signatures. Well, let's put it this way. Put this into perspective. Even if every single one of those 170,000 people who signed that petition bought a $30 Blu-ray, we're talking about $4 or $5 million in sales. Not counting the expense of the Blu-ray disc, the packaging, the shipping, all that kind of stuff. So you're talking about $3 or $4 million. It's going to probably cost a lot more than $3 or $4 or $5 million to take that first cut. I'm just speculating here that Zack Snyder did, actually flesh it out, do all the post-production on it, all the visual effects work that it needed, and then put it onto a home release of some sort that people can watch and enjoy. But again, I want to hear what you guys have to see. I want to hear your thoughts on this. Let's go back over to the super chat there. Angel Chang writes in, if the deleted scene is from the past war, I'm glad. Yeah, that was a lot of people's, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think a lot of people, one of their favorite scenes in that movie was the glimpses we got of that initial time Steppenwolf attacked the Earth. And all the heroes and men and Atlanteans and Amazonians all came together to fight them off. That was a great scene. And if that one scene that they are including comes from that one, that would actually be pretty good. I like that. Okay, let's go over to Twitter now. So some more of you guys are sending in tweets. This one comes from Arcadis, who writes, it's a good idea to not put out a director's cut. The director's cut of Batman vs. Superman didn't make the film 10 times better, only slightly. Justice League is done. And, there are many people who have that opinion as well. Let's see. Also, still sticking on this thought that maybe they'll release it down the road. Def Justice writes, they'll probably release a director's cut down the line to get people to double dip. I'm thinking maybe around the time or a little bit later. Look, I have no doubt that they will do another release of the Blu-ray, because every studio, Disney, Warner Brothers, Sony, you name it, if they have the capability to double dip, they will do it. If they can try to trick the audience into buying Blu-rays 2 or 3 times, they'll do it. I have no doubt that this is going to be one of those times. Jessica7979 writes, I don't believe a Snyder Cut even exists. He left before he could properly even put scenes together. Well, I mean, like I said, he did have a first rough cut, but a first rough cut is miles away from being, a completed project, a completed product. It's a long ways away from that. But he did, from all the reports I've read, he did at least get that first rough cut done. The question is, and I think this is the only question that Warner Brothers is asking themselves, is how much more money and resources, because remember, they already put in way more money and resources into this film than they were originally planning because of all the reshoots they had to do. How much more money and resources would they have to put in if they wanted to try to flesh out that first rough cut that Zack Snyder did in a watchable format with all the post-production done? How much would that cost them? And could they realistically make that money back? And I think that's going to be the big question a lot of them are going to be asking. Let's see. Next one comes to us from Nerd Teenage, who writes, John, I'm a big fan of you, John, and I really want a director's cut. Hey, there are a lot of people out there who are wanting a director's cut. And look, I'll be honest, look, I'm not somebody who I'm not wanting a director's cut, but absolutely, if they put out a director's cut and it was on the Blu-ray and I bought the Blu-ray, I don't buy Blu-rays anymore. I generally just stick to buying my movies on streaming. But if they did, I'd be curious to see it. For sure. I just don't know if they have the money to do it. All right. Another super chat came in, so let's jump over to the super chat. Over there on the super chat, Ben Rayner writes, Justice League is divisive, plus director's cut is expensive, plus director's cut not happening. I am okay with that. I like the movie as, I think you mean is. I like the movie as is. That's the movie. And I think that's probably one of the reasons, Ben, why I'm not like jumping up and down wanting a director's cut, because I liked it. I mean, I think that's the other reason why I wasn't jumping up and down for the ultimate cut of Batman vs. Superman, because I like Batman vs. Superman. So if I had hated Batman vs. Superman, I would have been more excited for the ultimate cut. If I hated Justice League, I'd probably be more excited or wanting to see a different version of it. I think maybe one of the reasons somebody like me would be curious to see a director's cut, but not necessarily jumping up and down to us, because I kind of like the movie we got. It has its weaknesses, it has its problems, absolutely. Yes, 100%, I'm not denying that. So did Batman vs. Superman, but I would have been at least more curious to see it, I think. At least that's kind of how I'm looking at. Let's go back over to Twitter here. And back over on Twitter, we've got Greg is Batman, who writes, I think Warner Brothers is just cutting their losses in the DCEU. The movie was rushed as it is. Well, the movie wasn't rushed. They worked on that film for years. For years. Now, was the final leg of it rushed because of everything that happened with Zack having to step away? They wanted to do some things differently. They brought in a new director, blah, blah, blah. And of course, we've all heard the stories that they actually asked to push the movie into 2018. But as the rumor goes, CEO of Warner Brothers, Kevin Tsujihara, wasn't sure if he was going to keep his job after the AT&T merger, and therefore he wouldn't get a bonus on the movie if it didn't make its money in the calendar year of 2017. So he dictated that the movie had to come out in 2017. Again, don't know if that's 100% sure, but we'll have to see if how that all kind of works out. All right, another super chat's come in from Angel Chang again, who's writing, I want bonus features and commentary, production, etc. Oh, absolutely. One of the reasons that I stopped buying Blu-rays, actually, is because I don't think they put in nearly enough effort into giving us those special features, into giving us commentary, into giving us those type, even the things that are easy to give. I definitely want that. I want that stuff in spades. Whether or not they let that happen, I don't know. I honestly don't know if like a Joss Whedon commentary is on this or not. I would be shocked if a Zack Snyder one was, though, because from what I understand, Zack Snyder is no longer working on DCEU at all, but who knows, maybe something like that could happen. Pardon me, guys. Iconic Comic writes, like that they are not releasing a director's cut. This is our film, and we are owning it. Unlike Batman vs. Superman and Suicide Squad, don't hate me for asking this, John, but I need to know your opinion. Stripe or Nagano? Or Stipe or Nagano? I'm going to go with Stipe. I think Stipe he's the champ, and I think he's going to shock the world. He's going to win. That's a UFC question, by the way. And I agree. Look, here's the other thing. Warner Brothers and DC started to get a lot of backlash when they put out the Suicide Squad with the new extended cut. And because it got a lot of people going, well, are you not, when I go and pay my money to go to the movies, are you not giving me the full movie? Why would I bother going to the movies then if you're not giving me the full movie? And I got to wait till the Blu-ray comes out. That's why I think there wasn't an extended cut or a director's cut of Wonder Woman when that came out, because Warner Brothers was listening to the complaints of their consumers. And that's yet another reason why I think probably went into the rationale about why we're not doing a director's cut here. Devontae Brown writes, on a separate issue, disappointed with no Alex Ross cover art on this Blu-ray. You know, a couple of the posters had such great art that I got to admit, yes, the art here, and let's bring up the art here for a second. I'm not thrilled with the art. I mean, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with this Blu-ray cover. But considering how slick, especially that first poster that came out looked, I was kind of hoping for something a little bit more, just something a little bit better. Let's see. Asian Boy writes, too much corporate interference in films today. Sad. That's a misunderstanding, Asian Boy. There has always been complete studio involvement in films. It's just that when the films turn out good, we don't talk about it. when the films turn out bad, then everybody talks about studio interference, but that's like kind of a different issue altogether. All right, I'm just going to take just a couple more. We're going to wrap this up. I'm going to jump back over to Twitter. Whole bunch of you guys. I'm not going to be able to get time to get to anywhere near all the tweets that are coming in, but I will get to as many as possible. Let's go this one here. This tweet is coming into us from Noah Ortega, and Noah Ortega is writing, John, is it possible to finish the director's cut and screen it all in a small amount if theaters make up for the money? But the problem is they wouldn't make up for the money. That's the problem. You would need, let's say conservatively, they needed, I don't know, $20 million to do all of that kind of stuff. Then minus 1/3 of that because the theaters are going to keep a cut of it as well and all that kind of stuff. You would need, oh gosh, 5 times the amount of people willing to go back to the theater and drop money to go back to the theater compared to everybody who actually signed the petition. And not everybody who signed the petition would go out to do it. So the math just doesn't the math doesn't equal up. The math doesn't seem to size up there. And Sang said, it wasn't bad at all. It was very good. Well, I mean, it depends on your point of view. I liked it. Clearly you liked it, but some other people didn't. And, you know, hey, that's just the way movies go sometime. Let's see. This one comes to us from Full Metal Photog, who writes, which director would they use? If they had a Zack cut, they would have to bring him back. I mean, yeah, right? And I don't think they're bringing Zack back. And I don't think Zack wants to come back. So if they were going to even try to complete a Zack Snyder cut, then they would probably be doing it with another director. At which case, is it then even a Zack Snyder cut anymore? And I'm not so sure that that's the case. Okay, last one we'll take down over here. Luke1234 is asking a question that's not related. John, do you play any musical instruments? Yes, I play many musical instruments. Chris Bond writes, if the downward trend continues with box office numbers, how many more DCEU films will happen before Warner Brothers is forced to let it die? That is a big question. We were talking about something like that on the John Campea show a little bit earlier today, when we were talking about the whole notion of, like, how bad does Aquaman need to do in order to be considered a disaster or a flop? I think if it does 500 million, it's okay. I think if it does 400 million, they'll consider it a disaster. It would be such a huge downward trajectory that at that point, if Aquaman like say makes 400 million or less, then I think they're actually in real trouble. I think they're in real significant trouble. Anyway, guys, that will do it for this little special video on this breaking news that it appears that this Blu-ray coming out of Justice League, in fact, to the chagrin of a lot of fans out there who've been asking for it, I'm not one of them, but a lot of you guys have been, which is wanting a director's cut of that Zack Snyder first cut. It looks like there's no indication that it's coming now. Is it possible they could do it in the future with yet another Blu-ray release? It's possible, but it seems like Warner Brothers isn't into doing that anymore. They didn't do it with the Wonder Woman film, and it seems like they would have to spend a lot of money in order to even make it happen, money that they probably couldn't recoup on a film that they already spent more money on than they were originally planning. It seems unlikely, but it is possible. So don't let your hopes be dashed entirely. All right, guys, that'll do it for me. But by all means, continue the conversation. Jump into the comments section below. Leave your thoughts. Do you think it's a good move they didn't put out a director's cut? Do you think it's a bad move they didn't put out a director's cut? What do you think the chances are that they might still put out a director's cut sometime in the future? I think it's slim, but let's not say it's impossible because anything can happen in this business. And while you guys are here, click the thumbs up button on this video. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. We got over 100,000 subscribers now, but we got room for a whole bunch more. And make sure you follow me on social media on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. Right here you can see it at John Campea. That'll do it for me, guys. Thanks so much for joining me. My name's John Campea, and until my next video, bye-bye.